Hey guys, I've been trying to make a new video for a while now, but I've been running into problems. You see, this is the camera that I normally use, okay? Oh, the lights are not very strong here. Oops. Okay. Now, you see there's a little tape in there, and you're supposed to, like when you film, like you hold it with your hand like that. And look at what happens. You're supposed to see like what you're filming here, right? But look at the image. It's all. Hey, wait a minute. It's working. For heaven's sake, it was broken like just a few minutes ago. See if I can record. Is it working? Hey, that's great. All right. Well, it looks like I can make that video after all. I've been having so much problems with this camera. You know, it's funny. It's like one of those old, kid stories when the kid, like, there's something like a ghost somewhere, and wait, it's kind of breaking up now. Is it? Is it working? Oh, well, who knows? Oh, there's a ghost somewhere, and then he goes to show mom and dad, hey, look, there's a ghost. And then mom and dad come and the ghost isn't there. But then, like, when mom and dad are gone, the ghost is back, that sort of thing. And it's kind of what just happened with my camera. It's like, well, my camera is not working, so I want to show the guys why it's not working, and then when I try to show them, it's working. Alright, so, make a little sandwich. Something else I wanted to talk about, by the way. About this girl I knew. I haven't talked to her in a while. Hope she's okay, but whatever. Anyway, that was a couple of years ago. She was well, she wasn't very pretty. She was kind of, well, she wasn't like fat, but she wasn't good looking, and so she had a hard time getting dates because. An ugly guy, he's got the right attitude, he can get all the women he wants, but an ugly girl is not exactly the same thing. A guy's a lot more, like, materialistic. In any case, so she was pretty lonely, and she lived by herself, and she owned a house, and had 2 apartments that she used to rent, and the thing about her place is that, she was kind of like an obsessive hoarder or something. I mean, the place was just littered. I mean, littered with books. I mean, you would walk in there and, like, from the floor up to the ceiling, it was just one book piled on top of the other. Just, you could just picture that. It was like, it was horrible. It was like a freaking labyrinth or something. It's like books everywhere. Piled one on top of each other. She probably bought some of them because some of them were actually new, but a lot of them were like really old books, with like yellowish pages, whatever. I mean, like on the floor and just piling up all that. It's just unbelievable. And she had like 5 cats, and I mean, it's just a nightmare. Much worse than this place, by the way. I mean, this place is fucking Versailles in comparison. Anyway, so what happened was that. She had these 2 apartments that she was renting out, and at some point she made a horrible mistake. The horrible mistake she made is that she rented one of those apartments to a lawyer. I'm putting mayonnaise, by the way. She rented one of those apartments to a lawyer, the one that was upstairs, so the lawyer had to actually get into her house, go through the door, and then there's a door that goes through, like, to her house, and then the stairs that goes to the apartment that the lawyer rented. There's just kind of like piling up in the corner of the spoon there. I can't, like, don't have the angle to. Anyway, and so it's always a mistake when you're renting out apartments to rent an apartment to someone who knows law, like a lawyer or a notary or whatever. And what happened was that the lawyer, he, got the apartment and everything, but then he said, if you try to get me to pay the rent, I'm going to report you, because all these books in her house. You know, all these books piled up everywhere. I mean, that was illegal. It was illegal because it was a violation of you know, safety regulations, because there was a fire risk. You know, when you got so many books, there's a risk that it's going to catch fire. And I got this new thing. I run out the roasted turkey. Oh, holy shit! You had one slice of oh my god, twisted my ankle there. Yeah, I had one slice of the roasted turkey. Anyway, so he said, you know, get me to pay the rent. You know, I'm going to report you. So that girl was a bit obsessive. I don't think she actually read the books, but she was really attached to them. You know, like she was some kind of a mental disorder or something, but she was really attached to those books. I remember at some point, you know, I was there and I picked one of the books up, you know, from one of the piles, and I started looking at it, and she was like all in a panic. So, oh no, be careful, that's the first edition, you know. It's like as if I was handling something from a museum or something. So she was really, really scared that I would damage the book. You know, it's like it was already all broken up. But anyway. But she had an emotional attachment, you know. It's like an obsessive personality, and you see that sometimes with people who are really lonely, and you know, they sort of become like that. Anyway, so it's a pretty sad situation, because when you have people like that, it's pretty easy to exploit them. You know, when there's something you have that you're afraid to lose, and you know, you've got a weak and obsessive personality, you're going to find people who are going to take advantage of that. So that lawyer, he stayed there, and he didn't pay the rent. And if that wasn't enough, he was always, you could put some cottage. If that wasn't enough, he was always like harassing her in a way. Like he would call her, you know, very early in the morning. He would say things like he needed to repaint his apartment, so she had to go and buy the paint. You know, it was, you know, this sort of stuff. You know, he would say, oh, there's something wrong with the washing machine, so she had to buy a new washing machine. And she was always afraid to contradict him. She was always afraid to say no to anything that he asked, because she was terrified, absolutely terrified, that the police would come and would take away her books. You know, she was so emotionally dependent on these books. Wait a minute. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know exactly what she was thinking, but like maybe she planned to actually read some of them, like sometime in the future. Maybe she had this dream of one day reading through all the books. I don't know exactly what it was like. I mean, I've got a lot of books myself, but you know, they're not books that I keep for decoration. I mean, you know, you have books on like philosophy and politics and that sort of thing that I actually enjoy, you know. And but still, I mean, it's a pretty sad situation. Like, I haven't talked to her in quite a while, so I'm not sure exactly how she's doing. But according to a friend, the lawyer is actually not there anymore, and I don't know if she managed to find a way to kick him out, or I don't know if, you know, he just had to leave because he went to work in another city. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. You know, why he's not there anymore, but it's for some reason he's not there anymore, and I guess that's good news. But it's still kind of a sad reminder that, you know, people like her, you know, vulnerable people, emotional people, they're always getting targeted, you know, for this sort of thing. You see it, I think, the most often with you know, elderly people in retirement homes. You know, nowadays the kids, I've seen families like that, that you have this old person, like old granny, who's there, and she's like, you know, in her 70s or 80s, and she's sick, and you know, you got her kids there that, you know, they're not sitting there. They're not sad that mommy's gonna die. They're just angry that she's not dying fast enough, because like they want you know, to get the house, or they want to drain her savings in her bank account, or you know, because when the person dies, you get all her stuff, right? And I've seen that. I mean, if it sounds kind of horrible to, you know, the idea of you know, your children you know, waiting for you to die so that they can take your stuff. I've seen it. I've seen it myself. I've seen families like that. And what happens is that those people, those old people, are often like they end up in retirement houses, and you know, those old places. I'm not sure there's a technical term for them, but you know, it's like these kind of apartment buildings. Like there's a public sector where it's free and it's disgusting, and you know, basically tie them up to their beds, and they got nurses at night, you know, like giving them shots to make them sleep, and just some horrible stuff. But you can. There's also private sector is a bit better, but no matter where they are, no matter whether the kids are spending some money to feel better about themselves, these old people, very often, you know, they are extremely lonely, and there's sort of a problem with balance here, and they often get these calls from telemarketers, and you know, they get like they get told that they want this or that price, or you know, they tell them that you know, if they can borrow some money from them, you know, they'll invest it, you know, in the sure thing they got, you know, and that they're gonna give them back like triple, or you know, this sort of thing, and then they just take their money and make a run for it. And once you fall for that scam, they make lists. You know, the telemarketers always make lists of people who've fallen for them before. And you know, once you start talking to them, and once you sound like you're about to give them your credit card number, you know, this sort of thing, once you're into it, you know, once they see that you're not one of the quick ones that hang up right away, once they see that you're a little bit naive, and you kind of talk to them a little bit and assume that maybe there's something to it, you know, they put you into one of those lists. Now, this guy can be fooled or whatever. The lists are actually illegal now. They modify the law in Canada specifically because of that practice that people. Okay, I got the spare battery. And you know, I was talking about the lists, but it's just something that is so common these days. I mean, back in the days, you know, it was kind of different, but you know, it's the way things are now. You know, when you get old, you get like left alone like that. Alright. And usually, you know, shocking thing about this is that, you know, when a family's not there anymore, and the kids, you know, they just wait for the old granny to die to take her money. You know, when you get in a situation like that, you're all old and vulnerable and sick, and you don't know what's going on. The only ones that can help you is the government. You know, the only hope for you to have someone stand in front of you and defend you is the government. And sometimes that's just the only solution. And you got people like railing and complaining, you know, that, oh, this is socialism, you know, the government can't, you know, intervene, or, you know, it's like without even bothering to look at what's actually going on. You know, it's just the sort of thing that happens. I mean, I knew an old man, and his son wanted one of them dead, but apparently he was hanging on, you know, and he was starting to have this Alzheimer's, but he was hanging on. He was surviving. He was still healthy and all that. And so the kid, the guy, he took his dad to one of those retirement homes, and the dad was there, and what happened was that the first day that the dad was checked in at that place, at the retirement home, mail came to the dad's house. So the dad was not there anymore because he was out in that place, and the mail came with an order from the Superior Court, because the son at the same time he had made the application. He wanted to get custody over his father's things because, you know, the father was inapt. Not sure exactly what the legal term is in English, but he was inapt to take care of his things because of, you know, his mental condition. And you know, it was all planned in advance. You know, take daddy to that place, and so while he's there, you know, you get the letter delivered to his home, and he doesn't answer it. You know, he can't defend himself. Anyway, so we're waiting until little bubbles start appearing so we can finish the sandwich with the eggs and everything. It's supposed to be some pretty quick thing, but it's taking a little longer now. Now, normally in kitchen videos, they got all the stuff prepared like in advance, you know, like, you know, like they're gonna tell you, okay, this is how you cook an egg, and they take the egg in their hands, and all of a sudden the egg's not there anymore; it's already cooked, you know. This is like, you know, playing some kind of video game, you know, like in Fallout 3 or something. You're playing from you can zoom the camera to be in a first-person shooter, like, you know, Dinosaur Hunter game or whatever, and you're kind of like, you know, wandering around, and there's a little arrow or something that points to something, and get the little logo like use this or whatever. Yeah, you have to choose the right moment to put the egg liquid thingy there inside that stuff, because if you put it like too early, it's going to just kind of like merge with the oil, and it's going to become like half oil, half egg or something. But if you wait until it's just hot enough, it's going to just like fry the egg, like whatever. Kind of. It's hot if I put my hand like this. I'm not going to touch that because I'm not, you know, that dumb, but alright, let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, then no one's going to die anyway. Alright. Well, maybe a little bit early, but it's alright. So, oh, you can see little bubbles kind of appearing there. Kind of bubbles. And this has been going on for 20 minutes already, so if anybody's watched it this far, you might enjoy going to the Vatican's YouTube channel and listening to the Pope speak. It's about as entertaining as this. And a few years ago, I actually listened to this Pope. It was the old Pope, actually, and he just gave the speech, and I actually listened to it. It was on TV, and I tuned in and I listened to the Pope speak, and then you know, I told a friend, I was like, oh yeah, did you watch the Pope's speech? And he looked at me, and like, you actually listened to the Pope's speech? I mean, how fucking boring are you? And you know, it's like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that, but yeah, that's pretty boring. Yeah, I didn't realize it, but ever since that day, it kind of like every time I see the Pope, I'm like, you know, I can't watch him or else I'm gonna be boring. Whatever. I think popes are funny. I like popes, especially when you can make a list of them, from Saint Peter to Benedict the 16th, all in order, including the anti-popes or whatever. That's pretty cool. Alright. Well, obviously it's going to glue to the bottom because this is a pretty cheap pot, but we're going to do with that. I really should start to make these videos shorter, get to the point. This is getting kind of ridiculous. 20 fucking minutes for this, for a freaking egg turkey sandwich, whatever. Alright, you could put oats, but I don't recommend it. Alright, so egg, always sticks to the bottom, always this little thingy there. Oof. Now, tomorrow I've got all day free. I'm probably gonna go watch Star Wars films again. Haven't watched them in a while. I get a strange feeling when I'm watching Star Wars. It's like, I don't know, I've got this strange nostalgia, especially in the first film, Phantom Menace. I just get this feeling in my mind, that this film had something to do with the impeachment of Bill Clinton. I can just picture that, remember Hillary Clinton with the vast right-wing conspiracy? I mean, you replace Monica Lewinsky with Padme Amidala or something. I mean, I think, that film was written with, Clinton impeachment in mind. I think there was something to it, but, and Valorum actually looks like Bill Clinton. And if you want to be really, really, really skeptical about it, Palpatine looks like George Bush, but, that Phantom Menace was made before, I think was like, it was during the Lewinsky scandal, I think, but it was before the election. Anyway, so the next thing is pepper, ground black pepper. And that's it. You put the little two thingies together, then wait a minute. Oh wow. Well, there you go, you got your sandwich. It's a little bit thick, but you can use 2 slices of bread and if you want. It would better, but I just cut it half like that. Let's try it taste. I think if I have to grab it with 2 hands. Wait a minute, I'm going to put this under my chin to see if I get good juice. Well, that's going to fall. Oh. Oh. That's pretty fucking good, man. That's really, really, really pretty fucking good. You gotta try that. Well, I'll see you guys some other time, right? Yeah, we got it.